My name is Daniel Ebenezer. I'm a 36-year-old architectural engineer. Spent the last decade designing dream homes for people who could afford to live perfectly, while I returned every night to a wife who made our house feel like a prison. I used to believe in structure, in lines, logic, load-bearing foundations. But betrayal? Betrayal doesn't follow rules. It cracks your life open from the inside and leaves you staring at the wreckage, wondering if you missed the signs or just didn't want to see them. I found out on a Tuesday, not a dramatic day, no storm clouds, no foreboding music playing in the background, just a regular, sunny afternoon where the world decided to flip me upside down and gut me like a fish. I'd gotten home early from a site visit. We'd finished pouring concrete ahead of schedule, and I figured I'd surprise Linda with her favorite vanilla cupcakes from the bakery 2 blocks from her office. I even picked up that red wine she liked, the one we only drank when we were trying to reconnect, trying to feel like newlyweds again. I parked in front of the house and noticed our neighbor's truck, Jason's truck, parked in the driveway. Nothing weird. Jason lived next door and was always offering to help out, fixing gutters, trimming hedges, playing the friendly suburban handyman. But what caught my attention wasn't the truck. It was a shadow against the kitchen curtain. It moved like 2 people fused together, a rhythm I hadn't felt in months. A body pressed hard against the glass, shoulders trembling, a hand braced on the window pane, as if to steady herself from pleasure. Cupcakes hit the pavement. I didn't move. My body went cold, my mouth dry, but my legs carried me forward, slowly, like I was floating out of my own skin. And then I saw her, Linda, my wife of 9 years, standing in our kitchen, her bare thighs wrapped around Jason's waist, her fingers tangled in his hair, her back arched, her mouth open in a silent moan. The same moan I used to think belonged to me. And then she looked up. She saw me. If you are shocked by what you just heard, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment, letting me know where you're watching from. Your thoughts matter. And if you want to stay in the loop for what's coming next, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss a moment of this. And she didn't stop. She just stared, like she wanted me to see, like she was daring me to do something. My heart stopped trying to beat its way out of my chest and just broke. I walked away before I could throw something through the window, before I could charge in and ruin both of them physically, before I could unravel right there on the damn front lawn. I drove. No destination. No music. Just silence loud enough to crush my thoughts. By the time I returned, Jason was gone. Linda was in the living room, legs crossed like nothing had happened, sipping a glass of the wine I had bought. She didn't even pretend to be ashamed. "You're home early," she said with a smirk. "You seriously in our kitchen?" She shrugged. "Maybe if you satisfied me, I wouldn't need the neighbor." I didn't answer. I couldn't. Every muscle in my body was clenched so tight, I thought my spine would snap. She stood, walked over me like nothing was broken, like nothing had shattered inside me, and whispered, "I told you I needed more. You just didn't listen." I slept in my car that night. The next morning, I saw her sister, Mia. She was dropping by to bring over some books Linda had asked for. Mia was different, 5 years younger, but carried herself like she had 100 secrets buried behind those almond-shaped eyes. Where Linda was polished, pretentious, and sharp-edged, Mia was soft, quiet, but not weak. I used to think she was naive. But that morning, she looked at me like she knew. I opened the door, my face still swollen with sleep and defeat. Mia tilted her head. "You look like hell." I didn't answer. She pushed past me like she owned the place. Walked straight to the kitchen. Paused like she could smell what had happened there. I followed her, the silence between us suddenly electric. "She told you?" she asked softly. "No." I saw. Mia turned, eyes narrowing. "That bitch." My eyebrows lifted slightly. She never talked about her sister like that, at least not to me. She reached into her tote bag and pulled out a small bottle of whiskey. I was going to give this to her. "But you need it more." We sat at the counter. She poured 2 fingers worth into a glass, slid it toward me. I drank it in one gulp. "Was it with Jason?" she asked, not looking at me. I nodded. She laughed, short and bitter. "Figures. I glanced over. What does that mean? Mia didn't answer right away. She sipped her own drink, then leaned forward, close enough that I could smell the soft lavender on her skin. She's always taking what she wants, Mia said slowly, even if it's not hers to take. I felt her hand brush my thigh, just lightly, but enough. Enough to make my breath catch. Enough to make something primal wake up inside me. You okay? She asked, pretending it hadn't happened. No, I said truthfully. She stared at me. Let's take something back. The words hit me like a match dropped in gasoline. I know what you're thinking. That I was weak. That I should have left Linda, should have filed the papers, and walked away clean. But that's not how betrayal works. It doesn't make you logical. It makes you angry. It makes you desperate to prove you weren't the one who failed, that you were worth being faithful to, that someone still saw you. And Mia? Mia saw me. That night, she texted me. Meet me, 11 p.m., Motel off I-14, room 206. I stared at it for 10 minutes. Then I drove, because somewhere between rage and desire, I stopped caring about rules, and I wanted someone to pay. If you told me a year ago I'd be cheating on my wife with her younger sister in a roadside motel that smelled like bleach and broken promises, I'd have laughed. But here I was, and it didn't feel like a joke. Room 206. I knocked once. The door opened slowly. Mia stood there in a black hoodie and tight jeans, barefoot on the carpet, hair still damp from a shower. She didn't say anything. Just stepped back and let me in. I walked past her, pulse racing like I'd downed a bottle of whiskey on the drive over. My hands were clenched, jaw tight. I didn't know if I was angry, ashamed, or desperate to feel something other than the humiliation rotting in my chest. She closed the door behind us with a soft click. You came, she said quietly. You texted. Mia turned to me. You could have said no. I didn't want to. That was the truth. Because when I saw her standing there, in that dim motel room light, the same blood that had frozen in my veins watching Linda betray me started to boil. I don't want you to think I'm doing this because I'm broken, I muttered. Her gaze was steady. You are broken, Daniel. That's the point. My jaw flexed. But that doesn't mean you're weak, she added. I turned away, looked at the stained armchair in the corner, the torn lampshade, the bedspread that probably hadn't been washed in a week. Why are you doing this? I asked. Mia stepped up behind me. Her hand slipped under my jacket, fingers pressing into my sides like she owned my body already. Because she's always had everything. The house, the family, the spotlight, and you. Her voice was silk over steel. She doesn't deserve you, she whispered. She never did. Her lips brushed the back of my neck. My hands reached behind to grab her thighs, lifting her until she wrapped around me instinctively. We crashed onto the bed, mouths colliding, hands frantic. It wasn't love. It wasn't even lust. It was war, grief, and vengeance stitched into every touch, every breathless gasp. Clothes hit the floor, skin on skin. She clawed down my back like she wanted to peel the pain right off me. Say it, she panted. What? That you want me. I hesitated. Not because I didn't, but because I did. Too much. I want you. She bit my shoulder, a soft moan escaping her lips. And that night, I stopped being Daniel the husband, Daniel the victim. I became something else. Something darker. Afterward, she lay beside me, one leg draped over mine, the motel light casting long shadows on our bare skin. This stays between us, she whispered. I turned to her. Why? Her eyes sparkled. Because secrets are how power survives. If she doesn't know, then we're in control. There was something in the way she said it that made the hair on my arms rise. Like she wasn't just seducing me. She was recruiting me. Was this your plan? I asked slowly. Mia smiled. Not sweet, not innocent, but calculated. I didn't plan for this, she said, fingers trailing across my chest. But I'm not stupid, Daniel. I wanted you for a long time. That made me blink. She sat up, pulling the blanket over herself like a queen surveying her kingdom. You remember the night before your wedding? She asked. I nodded. Barely. I was drunk. You stumbled into my room by accident, she said. Told me I looked better in red than Linda ever did. I chuckled softly. That sounds like something I'd say. She tilted her head. You kissed me. What? Just a little one. Sloppy. Drunk. But you kissed me. I sat up. I don't remember that. I do. She leaned forward, eyes locked on mine. And I never forgot it. The next morning, I walked into my house like nothing had happened. Linda was already at the breakfast table, scrolling through her phone like she hadn't gutted our marriage 2 days ago. She didn't even look up. I'll need the car tonight, she said casually. Jason's helping me pick out a new sound system. I froze mid-step. She wanted me to hear his name. She wanted to twist a knife. Take it. I muttered, walking past her. She finally glanced up. You look rested. I didn't respond. Because I was. Not in the peaceful sense, but in the way an addict feels after first hit. I knew I'd see me again, and I didn't plan on stopping. Later that week, we met again. Then again, different motels, different excuses. I started telling Linda I had late work calls, site visits, back-to-back client meetings. She didn't care. She was too busy sneaking Jason in through the side door while I was gone. The irony? We were both lying to each other, and neither of us seemed to care. But Mia? Mia was different each time I saw her. Hungrier, bolder. Her hands roamed like she had something to prove, like she was unwrapping a gift she'd waited years to open. And she started leaving traces. Little things. A scratch on my neck. A text that nearly lit up during dinner. And then one Sunday evening, she wore my hoodie to family dinner. A hoodie Linda knew I never lent out. Isn't that Daniel's? She asked casually. Mia smiled. Yeah. I spilled coffee at the office the other day and borrowed it. He said I could keep it. I almost dropped my fork. Linda's eyes narrowed. Funny, he never lets me wear his clothes. Mia didn't blink. Guess you just didn't ask the right way. The room went cold. I chewed slower, heart pounding, eyes glued to my plate. Linda didn't say anything else. But I knew then she was starting to suspect. That night, Mia texted me one line. She's not as clever as she thinks. And then another, don't forget who started this. We're just finishing it. On paper, I'm a respected architectural engineer. I design precision, control chaos, and shape the skyline with my hands. But behind closed doors, I become a man driven by betrayal, revenge, and something far darker. I never thought revenge would taste like cherry lipstick and motel pillows, or that my wife's sister would be the one teaching me how to let go of shame. But that first time with Mia, it wasn't about love. It wasn't even about her. It was about Linda. And I wanted to destroy everything she thought she owned. Started with her sister's body wrapped in mine. We were at the motel off the freeway again. Different room this time. Same dim yellow lights. Same faint scent of ammonia and cigarette smoke. Mia was already there when I arrived, stretched out on the bed like temptation incarnate. No bra, just an oversized black t-shirt hugging her curves, and nothing underneath in the way she shifted. You're late, she said without looking up from her phone. I kicked the door shut with my foot and dropped my keys on the nightstand. You're impatient. She finally looked up, eyes sharp, amused, and hungry. I've waited 5 years. I think I've earned impatience. Her legs dangled off the edge of the bed. I walked over slowly, my eyes locked on her thighs, the way they parted when I stood between them. This is still wrong, I murmured. Then stop. I didn't. Instead, I leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't sweet. It was war in the form of lips and tongue and clenched fists. We clawed at each other like animals, months, asterisk years, asterisk, of buried tension unraveling in one brutal, glorious moment. She yanked off her shirt, and I drank her in. Soft skin, sharp eyes, a quiet kind of fire I hadn't realized I'd been starving for. She pulled me onto bed, wrapping her legs around my waist, grinding up with such a dangerous rhythm it made me forget who I used to be. My hands found her hips, my mouth trailed down her neck, and for the first time since I watched my wife with our neighbor, I felt alive. Mia arched beneath me, gasping in my ear, nails dragging down my back. God, Daniel, she panted, do you even see how much I wanted this? Her voice was feral, trembling with need and something deeper. She flipped me over, straddling my hips with a dominance I never expected. I grabbed her thighs, squeezed hard, watching her move like she studied every fantasy I never spoke aloud. This is our secret, she whispered, but you're mine in it. When we finally collapsed together, covered in sweat, bruises, and shamefully raw satisfaction, I felt something worse than guilt. I felt addicted. We lay in silence for a while, her head on my chest, my arm across her bare back, the sheets tangled around our legs like evidence. You know what scares me the most? I said, that I'm better than her? I glanced down. You're not supposed to say that. She looked up. But you thought it. She wasn't wrong, because she was. Better at touching, better at kissing, better at making me forget Linda's face every time I closed my eyes, and better at making me feel like I mattered again. A few days later, Linda cornered me in the garage. I know you're hiding something, she said, arms crossed, jaw tight. I blinked. Excuse me? You've been coming home late, showering the moment you walk in. You barely touch me. I shrugged, maybe because you touched someone else first. She narrowed her eyes. You're seeing someone, aren't you? I met her gaze and smiled. It was subtle, just enough. She stepped closer, poking her finger into my chest. Who is she? I leaned down. Maybe you should have asked that question before you climbed Jason in our kitchen. I walked past her, letting the tension settle in like dust. Let her wonder. Let her feel what I felt. Later that night, Mia called. Can I come over? To the house. She hesitated. No, I don't want a motel tonight. I want something normal. Real. I paused. There's nothing normal about this. Exactly, she whispered. So let's pretend. We ended up in a short-term apartment rental I booked that night, half-furnished, cold, with a view of the highway. I told her it was for work, in case Linda snooped. But really, I needed a place where Mia didn't have to pretend. She walked in wearing one of my old flannels and lace panties. This is your hideaway now, she teased, spinning slowly in the empty living room. It's just a space to think. Or to sin. I didn't answer. She pressed her palms to my chest. Say it again. Say what? That you want me. I stared at her. This wasn't a game anymore. It wasn't even revenge. It was transformation. I want you. She smiled. That slow, devastating smile that always meant trouble. Good, she said softly, because I'm done pretending this is just sex. The next time we met, she brought wine. We didn't even make it to the bed. Clothes peeled off by the front door. Fingers digging into walls. Her moans muffled against my neck, and my voice rasping her name like a man learning how to breathe again. She whispered every lie she knew I wanted to hear. You're better than her. She never deserved you. She'll never touch you the way I do. And I believed all of it, even though I knew better. But it wasn't all perfect. One night, after we finished, I caught her staring at me, face blank, lips pursed. What? I asked. You ever wonder what would have happened if you'd married me instead? I didn't answer, because I had, more than once. And that thought terrified me. The lines started blurring. I'd go days without touching Linda. Mia would send me selfies during family brunch, subtle, innocent to anyone else, but not to me. A bitten lip, a bare shoulder, a flash of my hoodie she still wore. It was getting reckless, and that's exactly what she wanted. One night, Linda confronted me again. I saw her wearing her clothes. You really think I'm that stupid? I turned, half-dressed, caught off guard. She said she borrowed it. I lied. She hates that hoodie. I stayed quiet. She's always been obsessed with you, Linda hissed. You're too blind to see it. I stared at her. You were moaning for our neighbor. You don't get to talk about obsession. She laughed bitterly. At least he was my family. That one stung. She stormed off, But she was too late. The damage was done. That night, I texted Mia. "You're right. This isn't just sex anymore." Her reply came instantly. "Good. I stopped playing a long time ago." What started as a calculated slice of revenge has turned into something far more dangerous. I'm not sure what's more addictive, Mia's body, or the look on Linda's face every time she thinks she's got me cornered, and I still won't crack. The thing about lying? You get good at it fast. Too good. You start with little things. Working late, missed calls. "I fell asleep at the office." But then you start lying to yourself. You start telling yourself this is just a phase. That Mia is just a distraction. That Linda still deserves it. And maybe she does. But I've crossed a line I can't uncross. Because Mia isn't just a woman I'm sleeping with. She's her. The one who's always watching, always planning, always 10 steps ahead. And now, she's not even trying to hide it anymore. It started subtly. A pair of my boxers in her purse. A toothbrush at the rental apartment. Her perfume on my collar when I came home one night. I didn't notice it at first, but Linda did. We were eating dinner in silence one Wednesday evening. She made lasagna, her attempt at playing domestic wife, after ignoring me for 2 weeks. She slid the plate in front of me, took her seat, and didn't say a word for 5 minutes. Just chewed like she was keeping something down. Then she said it. "You smell like vanilla." I paused, fork midair. "New soap," I said without flinching. She sipped her wine slowly, staring. "Mia wears that perfume," she said. I shrugged. "I wouldn't know." "Oh, wouldn't you?" she asked coolly. We stared at each other for a long second. Then she smiled. That fake, dead smile she used when she was lying to herself. I knew I had a problem. The next morning, I found Mia in my rental apartment, uninvited. She was standing by the window, barefoot, sipping coffee from a mug I didn't own. "I made myself at home," she said, smiling. "How did you get in?" "You leave the key under the mat like it's still 2003. I didn't know whether to be turned on or terrified. "You can't just show up like this." "Why not?" she said, walking toward me. "It's not like Linda ever comes here." "Mia, no one ever comes here except me." Her robe slipped as she moved. She wasn't wearing anything underneath. "You're playing a dangerous game." She placed her hand on my chest. "So are you." Later that night, we went to dinner. Together, in public, not a fancy restaurant. Just a quiet place 30 minutes outside the city. The kind of place where no one knew us, where we could hold hands under the table and pretend the world wasn't catching fire around us. She wore a tight black dress, red lipstick, and confidence like a weapon. "You ever think about what this is becoming?" I asked over drinks. She leaned in. This is what it was always meant to be." I shook my head. "You're not scared someone's going to find out?" Her gaze didn't flinch. "Let them." I stared. "Mia." She reached into her purse and pulled out a photo, slid across the table. It was a picture of Linda and Jason, naked, in my kitchen. I blinked. "Where did you get this?" "I put a camera in the vent last month, just in case." "You what?" She smiled. "Linda's not the only one who can lie." That night, I didn't take her back to the apartment. I took her home. The next morning, she made breakfast in my kitchen. Linda's kitchen. Pancakes. Bacon. Nothing fancy. But when I walked in, saw her humming to herself like she belonged there, I froze. "Mia, what the hell are you doing?" "Relax," she said, flipping a pancake. "She's gone for the weekend. Work conference. You can't be here." She walked over, wrapped her arms around my waist. "But I want to be." I pushed her back gently. "This isn't a game." It never was. That was the scariest part. She meant it. We started getting reckless. She started texting me during meetings. Photos. Dirty audio clips. Once, she sent a picture of herself in my bed with the caption, "Still smells like you?" And I couldn't stop her. I didn't want to. Until one Sunday afternoon, everything imploded. We were having a family barbecue. Linda insisted we host. I didn't want to, but I didn't have a choice. The backyard was full. Cousins, in-laws, neighbors. And Mia. She showed up late in a white sundress, no bra, red lipstick. My stomach dropped. She kissed Linda on the cheek and whispered something that made my wife's face go stiff. Then she came over to me, plate in hand, and fed me a piece of grilled chicken in front of everyone. I seasoned it myself, she said, licking her fingers. I coughed, stepped back, looked around. No one seemed to notice, except Linda. She walked over minutes later, eyes narrowed. You two seem close lately. I forced a smile. We're family. She leaned in. So was Jason. That night, I got home to find Mia already inside the apartment. This time, she was wearing my hoodie and nothing else. She had wine poured, music playing low, my laptop open on the table. You use my laptop? She shrugged. Just wanted to check something. I froze. What did you check? She stood, walked toward me, slid her hands up my chest. Don't worry, she whispered. I didn't delete anything. What did you see? She leaned close to my ear. I saw your search history, Daniel. I stiffened. She stepped back and smiled. You wanted to know if what she said was true, didn't you? I didn't answer. You Googled signs of male sexual inadequacy. You were that wrecked. I clenched my jaw. I wanted to know if it was me or just her excuse. She walked to the window, staring out into the night. She's a liar, Mia said softly. And you believed her. Why did you save that photo? She turned. Because one day you're going to need proof, and I want to be the one who gives it to you. Later that night, she slept with her head on my chest, hand on my heart, and I realized something terrifying. She wasn't just trying to comfort me. She was claiming me, marking her territory, infiltrating my life one secret at a time. And I was letting her. The lies were piling up now. So many, I stopped keeping track. Linda was watching me closer. Jason was barely speaking to me. Mia was growing bolder, more possessive. And me? I was drowning in the one thing I used to have control over: structure. Because this was chaos. I used to live a structured life. Calculation, symmetry, reinforced foundations. Now, I live in shadows and motel sheets, caught between two women who share blood but not loyalty. One is my wife, the woman who betrayed me with our neighbor in the very kitchen I designed with my own hands. The other is her sister, my lover, my accomplice, and maybe the most dangerous decision I've ever made. Mia isn't just a secret anymore. She's a ticking bomb. And I was about to find out what happens when a secret grows teeth. It was a Saturday afternoon. Hot, heavy, the kind of day where sweat sticks to your collar before you step outside. Linda had gone to a spa retreat with some of her friends, one of those overly expensive self-care weekends she booked to refocus her energy. It was her new thing, healing retreats and yoga quotes on her Instagram stories, while Jason still slipped into our house through the garage on the sly. I used to get angry. Now I just watched and waited. And in that waiting, I called Mia. She arrived 30 minutes later. Tight jeans, crop top, that devious smile she wore like perfume. Did she leave? She asked, stepping in like she owned the place. I nodded. She dropped her overnight bag near the staircase and walked right up to me. No motel today, she whispered. Just you, me, and the house she's been defiling. I knew it was risky, stupid even, but that's what betrayal does. It makes you bold and careless, especially when the one you're betraying already started the fire. We made love in the living room, on the very couch where Linda once sat pretending to be the perfect wife. Then the hallway, then the kitchen. Mia moaned into my shoulder as I lifted her onto the countertop, her legs wrapping tight around my waist like she was trying to merge our bodies into one. It wasn't quiet. It wasn't clean. And it sure as hell wasn't careful. We fell asleep in the guest bedroom. Mia curled into me, her hair trailing across my chest, lips soft against my neck. And then I heard it, the front door opening. Keys, high heels on tile. Linda. Panic shot through my chest like lightning. I bolted upright, heart pounding so loud I thought it might wake Mia before I even moved. Mia, I hissed. She stirred, Groggy. What? She's home. She's home. Mia's eyes widened in a blur of motion. She grabbed her clothes off the floor and dove into the closet. Just as I yanked the blanket up and rolled to my side, the bedroom door creaked open. Linda stood in the doorway, makeup smudged, looking half drunk and confused. I thought you were at the office, she slurred slightly. I cleared my throat, got a migraine, took a nap. Her eyes flicked around the room. Her gaze lingered on the unmade bed, my half-buttoned shirt, a faint scent in the air that wasn't hers. She squinted. What's that smell? Candle. I lied. I lit one earlier. Vanilla something. She sniffed again, stepping inside. My fingers dug into the blanket, praying Mia wouldn't sneeze, move, breathe. Linda walked around the bed, then stopped. Her eyes landed on the closet door. It was cracked open just a sliver. My lungs stopped working. Did someone come over? She asked. I forced a yawn. No. Why? She gave me that look. The one she always used when she knew I was lying, but had no proof. Then, slowly, she turned and walked out. Door clicked shut behind her. I exhaled so hard my chest ached. 30 seconds later, Mia burst from the closet, like a ghost escaping purgatory. You didn't tell me she was coming back today, she hissed, grabbing her jeans and hopping on one foot. She wasn't supposed to. I whispered, I don't know what the hell she's doing here. You could have got us both killed, Daniel. You think she would have cared? I snapped. You think she's not doing worse with Jason while I'm out breaking my back trying to hold this marriage together? Mia stopped cold. What did you just say? I blinked. What? You're still trying to hold it together? I froze. No, I didn't mean... She grabbed her bag and stormed toward the door. Mia, wait. She turned, face hard, eyes glassy. I'm not your punishment tool, Daniel. I'm not your damn therapy. And just like that, she was gone. I didn't sleep that night. Linda stayed in the master bedroom. I stayed on the couch. And my phone? Silent. No messages. No missed calls. No Mia. I felt the absence like a missing tooth. Like I kept running my tongue over the gap, trying to remember what used to be there. And for the first time since this all began, I wondered, what happens when the secret you built your revenge on starts cutting you instead? The next day, Mia showed up at my office, unannounced, wearing a black coat, sunglasses, and fury wrapped around her like a second skin. You owe me an explanation, she said, slamming the door behind her. I stood. I mean what I said. You know that. She pulled off her sunglasses. Her eyes were rimmed red, but not from crying, from not letting herself cry. I'm not a prop, she said. I'm not your rebound. I'm not some tool you use to test whether you're still a man. You think this is just about sex? I asked, stepping toward her. You think I'd risk my career, my life, my name for just that? She stared at me, silent, then softly. Then what is it? I didn't have an answer, not one I trusted myself to say out loud. She turned to leave. Mia, I said, don't walk away. She paused. You said this wasn't just sex anymore. Remember? She looked over her shoulder. Then prove it. That night, I didn't go home. I booked another room, one of the nicer ones. Clean sheets, room service, no smoke-stained walls or guilt-trapped air. Mia showed up 2 hours later. She stood at the door, expression unreadable. Why this place? She asked. Because you deserve something that isn't borrowed or stolen. We didn't speak much after that. Just undressed slowly, deliberately, like we were learning each other all over again. It wasn't violent, or angry, or performative. It was intimate. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was using her. I felt like I needed her, and that scared the hell out of me. Afterward, we lay tangled together, the city lights flickering against the ceiling. She turned to me. You're going to have to choose eventually, you know. I already have, I said. She studied my face, then smiled, faint, unsure, but real. You're not the only one with secrets, Daniel. I frowned. What does that mean? But she didn't answer. She just kissed me, slow, lingering, like she knew something I didn't. And maybe she did, because as I drifted asleep, her phone buzzed quietly on the nightstand. A single message lit up the screen. From a contact labeled, "Blackmail folder, do not open." And right then, I knew this was never just about revenge. It was about power. And Mia? She'd been playing a deeper game from the start. I thought my biggest mistake was sleeping with my wife's sister. Turns out, the real mistake was underestimating the man next door, the one who helped me fix my gutters and then helped himself to my wife. Jason. Friendly. Helpful. Polished smile. The guy who waved while watering his lawn and shagged Linda behind my back, while I was building houses for clients I didn't even like. But now, he wasn't smiling anymore, because he knew. And when men like Jason know something, they don't sit quietly with it. They weaponize it. It started with a knock. Late, almost midnight. Mia had just left the rental apartment, leaving behind a faint trace of her perfume on my pillow and the memory of her lips bruising mine against the kitchen counter. I thought it was her coming back for another round, but when I opened the door, it was Jason, standing there in a gray hoodie, jaw tight, hands in his pockets like he was holding something he wasn't sure he wanted to show. I didn't speak. Neither did he. He just walked past me like he owned the place. "What the hell are you doing here?" I asked, shutting the door. "You know, I almost respected you, Daniel," he said calmly. I crossed my arms. "You have a funny way of showing it." He turned to face me. "No, really. You were the golden boy. Perfect wife. Clean house, six-figure job. All-American suburban dream. And yet, here we are." I stepped forward. "Get to the point." He chuckled. "I know about Mia." Silence hit like a punch. I kept my face blank. "You're full of shit." He reached into his hoodie and pulled out his phone. Swiped, tapped, turned the screen toward me. A photo, grainy, taken through a cracked window, but clear enough. Me, shirtless, standing behind Mia in the rental apartment. Her face tilted up, eyes closed, mouth open. My hand on her hip. "Say cheese," he smirked. My stomach dropped. "You were spying on me? Call it insurance." I clenched my jaw. "What the hell do you want?" He shrugged. "Simple. Stay away from Mia. End it. Today. Or I show your wife. She's your affair, Jason." He grinned. And that's what makes it so poetic. I stared at him, heart pounding. This wasn't just about Linda anymore. This was about power. Territory. Male ego. "You're bluffing," I said. He handed me the phone. "There's a folder. More than one photo. Some video. Do you want to roll the dice?" I looked down. There were at least 12 thumbnails in the gallery. I could only see a few before rage made my vision blur. "You've been following me." "Only because I had a feeling. You're not the only one who knows how to cover tracks." I laughed bitterly. "You mean you're not the only snake in this neighborhood?" He stepped closer. "End it, Daniel. Or I end you." And then he walked out. Just like that. No shouting. No fists. Just a threat. Clear, sharp, and dangerous. I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my phone, wondering whether to warn Mia. Wondering if she knew. Wondering if she'd set me up. That part haunted me most. Because the more I thought about it, the more I started to realize Mia had never acted surprised when we were almost caught. Never nervous. Never rattled. She'd been calm. Too calm. What if Jason wasn't the only one playing a deeper game? The next morning, I met her at the coffee shop 2 blocks from my office. She wore sunglasses and a scarf like she was someone famous hiding from paparazzi. "Someone following you?" I asked. "Always," she said dryly. "What's going on?" I got straight to it. "Jason knows." She didn't flinch. Didn't blink. "Of course he does." My mouth went dry. "What?" She sipped her coffee. "I told you. This was never just about revenge. It's about control. I wanted him to know." I leaned forward. "Mia, this isn't a joke. He has pictures. Videos." He threatened to tell Linda everything. She tilted her head. "Let him." I froze. "What?" She reached into her purse. pulled out a USB drive, and slid it across the table. Everything he has on you, I have 10 times worse on him. My heart kicked against my ribs. I told you, she said, her voice suddenly harder. I'm not playing defense. You've been planning this. I whispered. She leaned in, lips inches from mine. Since the day you married my sister. We left the cafe separately. I walked 3 blocks before I could breathe again. This wasn't revenge sex anymore. This was a war. And Mia? She wasn't just a match. She was a gasoline. That night, I came home to Linda, waiting in the kitchen. She looked up from her wine glass, face unreadable. You've been distant. I shrugged. Busy. Working late. Sleeping out. Ignoring calls. I said nothing. She stood and walked toward me. You seeing someone? I locked eyes with her. Her lips twitched. Jason said he saw you with someone. I stayed still. She laughed softly. Ironic, isn't it? You cheating. Me cheating. We should be even. But we're not, I said quietly. No, she agreed, because my affair didn't come with strings. I tilted my head. Didn't it? She blinked. I smiled. Ask Jason who's really pulling the strings these days. She frowned. What does that mean? I stepped forward, brushing past her. It means your sister's smarter than you give her credit for. She turned. You're sleeping with Mia? I didn't answer. She gasped. Oh my God, Mia. My sister? I turned back. You started this war, Linda. And then I walked upstairs. My phone buzzed that night. Mia, check your email. Sent you something that'll bury him. I opened it. A video. Jason, in Linda's car, arguing, screaming, then kissing, then touching, then saying something that made my blood go cold. I don't love her. I never did. I'm just using her to get to him. I stared at the screen. Jason hadn't just wanted Linda. He wanted to break me. And Mia had just handed me the bullet. I don't know who's worse anymore. My wife or sister, or the man who used to wave at me every morning like he didn't just have his hands under my wife's dress the night before. What started as betrayal has become a chessboard. And I'm not the player I thought I was. I'm the piece being moved, sacrificed, manipulated. Because Mia, sweet, sultry, seductive Mia, finally told me the truth. And now, I'm not sure whether I've been sleeping with my enemy or my salvation. It was a night after Jason's threat. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think without hearing his voice in my head. Stay away from Mia, or I'll tell your wife everything. The irony was, I'd already told her, or at least, I let her figure it out. Watching the look on Linda's face when she realized a man she'd cheated on had done the one thing she never expected. Turn her own sister into his dirty little secret. Should have satisfied me, but it didn't. Because something about the way Mia was acting, the calm, the confidence, the little USB drive, told me this had never just been about lust or revenge. There was something deeper, more personal, more dangerous. I met her at the rental apartment. She was already there, sitting cross-legged on the bed, scrolling through her phone like it was just another casual evening. You came, she said without looking up. I saw the video. She looked at me, smirking slightly. Impressive, right? That wasn't a lucky shot. I said, you planned it. Her smile faded. Of course I did. I stepped closer. Why? She sighed. You really want to know? Yes. Mia stood up, wrapped her arms around herself like she was holding something in. Not fear, not shame, something more like pain. You remember the night you and Linda got engaged? She asked. I frowned. What does that have to do with anything? Just answer. I nodded. Yeah, she threw a party. You were there. I was drunk, she said softly. Drunk, but clear enough to remember standing outside on the deck, trying to keep my heart from breaking in front of 20 guests. I tilted my head. You don't remember what I said to you, do you? Mia, I told you I had feelings for you, she whispered. I told you I'd loved you since I was 17. That I knew you were with her, but I had to say it just once. My breath caught. I thought you were just drunk. I said quietly. I was drunk, she snapped. But that didn't make a lie. Silence fell between us like a blade. You looked at me, she continued, eyes shining now. And you smiled, patted my head like I was a child, said, "You're sweet, Mia, but I'm with your sister." And that was it. You walked away. Mia, No, she said, stepping forward, voice trembling. I need you to hear this. I stood there, feeling like an idiot, watching you marry the woman who treats people like napkins, used, crumpled, thrown away. I swallowed hard. And then, she added, voice lower now, I watched her cheat on you, over and over. The neighbor, a co-worker, even that yoga instructor she hired for your anniversary retreat. My stomach turned. How do you know all this? I watched Daniel, she said, tears streaming now, because I needed you to see what I saw, that she never deserved you, that she never saw you the way I did. She walked her bag, pulled out a folder, and tossed it on the bed. Inside, photos, receipts, hotel check-ins, a 5-year dossier on Linda's infidelities. I've been saving this, she whispered, for the day you finally open your eyes. I sank into the chair, heart pounding. You let it all happen, I said, barely breathing. You knew she was cheating, and you let it continue. I wanted you broken, Mia said through gritted teeth. I needed you to hit rock bottom, because that was the only way you'd finally see me. I stared at her, and for a long moment, I didn't know whether to kiss her or run. You're insane, I said finally. She wiped her tears and laughed bitterly. Yeah, probably. You orchestrated this entire thing? Not all of it, she said. Just the part where I finally get what I've always wanted. I stood. Which is what? Me? She looked at me, eyes dark. No, Daniel. Not just you. The truth. Justice. Balance. You've been giving her everything while she took you for granted. I waited quietly for my turn. And seducing me was your way of what? Healing. She crossed her arms. It started as revenge, but then it became something else. What? Her voice softened. You. I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to hold her. And part of me wanted to be ruined by her. Because Mia wasn't just some rebound or side affair. She was a storm I invited into my life. And now I was standing in the eye of it. Later that night, we didn't touch. We just lay on the bed, side by side, breathing in the silence. I hate her, she whispered. Not just because she took you, but because she wasted you. I was never hers to waste, I murmured. She looked at me, eyes wide, hopeful, scared. You believe me now? I don't know what I believe, I said, but I know this. Nothing is ever going back to normal. She smiled. Good. The next morning, I woke up alone. Just a note on the pillow, written in lipstick on hotel stationery. Time to make a choice. Because secrets don't stay buried forever. M. I stared at it for a long time, then picked up my phone. I had a voicemail. From Linda. I know everything. You and Mia. The pictures. The lies. You think you can humiliate me like this and walk away clean? Guess what, Daniel? I already talked to a lawyer. You want to sleep with my sister? Fine. But I'm taking the house, the car, and everything else you ever thought was yours. You're going to lose. I hung up, and I laughed, because what she didn't know, I still had Mia's blackmail folder. And she hadn't seen war until she saw what I was about to unleash. I'm standing at the edge of everything I built, ready to burn it all down. My wife wants blood. My mistress wants loyalty. And I just want the truth to stop cutting me every time I breathe. This war between me, Linda, Mia, and Jason, it started with betrayal. Now it's ending with a choice. And I finally made mine. The moment I heard Linda's voicemail, I knew we were past forgiveness, past negotiation. She wasn't bluffing. She'd already filed for divorce. The paperwork was processed, expedited through the same smug lawyer her father had used to ruin business rivals during corporate takeovers. She was taking the house, the cars, even our dog, Max, who hadn't wagged his tail at her in months. But it wasn't about the assets. It was about the humiliation. The message. Linda was declaring war the only way she knew how, by cutting deep, then twisting the blade. And if I let her get away with it, I'd spend the rest of my life rebuilding from the ashes of someone else's power trip. So I picked up the folder Mia had given me. All of Linda's affairs. Her tax evasion schemes. Evidence that the family's charity foundation was being used as a laundering front for under-the-table political contributions. It was nuclear, but it was also a double-edged sword, because using it would burn everything. Her name, my reputation, our marriage, and Mia, she was already halfway out the door. She texted me that night. If you choose her, I disappear. Forever. I mean it. If you choose me, you fight. You burn the lie down to the studs and start over. I didn't respond. Not yet. The next morning, I met Linda at her lawyer's office. She was wearing a white power suit and red lipstick. The exact outfit she wore the day she met my parents for the first time. Except this time, her smile was venom. She didn't say hello, just sat down across from me, folded her arms, and let her attorney do the talking. We'll be seeking full ownership of the property, primary rights to all joint accounts, and no contact clause regarding Ms. Mia Reese for a period of 3 years. I raised my eyebrows. Linda smirked. Don't act shocked. You made your choice the moment you screwed my sister. I pulled the folder from my briefcase and slid it across the table. Not yet, I said. She stared at it. Her lawyer reached for it. Wait, Linda snapped. Too late. He opened it, and his face drained of color. She grabbed it, flipped through the pages, her affairs, her secret ledger, the photo of her and Jason outside a hotel 5 states away during a conference weekend. And at the very back, a document Mia helped me retrieve, a fraudulent transfer of $78,000 from her family's foundation to a consultant who never existed. Me, I was a fake consultant. She'd used my name, my signature. Fraud. Federal fraud. Where did you get this? Linda's voice cracked. I've had it for months. I lied. You can't use this against me. This is blackmail. No, I said, standing. It's leverage, which you started the moment you threatened to take everything from me. Her hand shook. Why would you do this? I stared at her. Cold. Dead. You never loved me, Linda. You love control. She looked away. Then I guess we're both monsters, she whispered. No, I said. You're a monster. I just learned how to survive you. Outside the office, I called Mia. She picked up on the first ring. You made your choice? She asked. Yes. I heard her exhale. I have something for you, she said. Meet me at the motel. Same room. 30 minutes later, I walked in to find her sitting on the bed, envelope in hand. What's that? I asked. She handed it to me. Inside, a printed ultrasound, black and white, clear as day. You're going to be a father, she said. The room spun. No games. No games, she said quieter now. I didn't plan this. I didn't trap you. You sure it's mine? I haven't slept with anyone else in a year, she said, lifting her chin. I've been in love with you for longer than you've known. I sat down, breath catching in my throat. So now what? She took my hand. You burn the rest down. And I did. I leaked the foundation documents anonymously to the State Tax Commission. I sent Jason's videos to his wife. Yes, his wife. The one he claimed was emotionally unavailable. Turns out she had a temper and a lawyer on speed dial. Within 48 hours, his perfect little world collapsed. His wife filed for divorce. The HOA issued a restraining order against him for harassing Linda. And Linda? She called me crying, begging, apologizing. Daniel, we can fix this. Just tell them it was fake. Tell them Mia forged it. Please. I listened, let her sob. Then I said 2 words. We're done. Mia! And I moved out of town 2 weeks later. New house. Quiet street. Somewhere Linda would never find us. The baby was real. So were her smiles now. She wasn't just the chaos anymore. She was a peace I never thought I'd earn. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, wondering how it all happened so fast. The betrayal, the revenge, the sex, the love, the destruction. But then I look over and see Mia sleeping beside me, hand resting lightly on her belly, and I remember, this isn't the life I wanted. It's the one I chose. And this is where it all comes undone. You ever feel the air shift before a storm? The way everything gets still, too still, and the sky feels like it's holding its breath? That was today. Except the storm wasn't in the sky. It was at a backyard barbecue hosted by Linda's parents. They didn't know the truth. Not yet. To them, I was still the golden boy's son-in-law. Mia was the quiet sister. Jason, the charming neighbor. Linda, the perfect wife. But everyone had brought their poison. And I knew, before the grill was even lit, this was the day the whole damn house of cards would collapse. I didn't want to go. Mia told me not to. It's a trap, she warned. Linda doesn't invite without an agenda. I know, I said, buttoning my shirt. That's why I have to go. This ends today. She hesitated, then pulled something from her purse and handed it to me, a printed copy of the ultrasound. In case you forget what we're fighting for, she said. I kiss her forehead. I never forget. The backyard was decorated like a wedding. White folding chairs, centerpieces with roses and baby's breath, laughter bubbling like champagne. Linda's mother was arranging skewers on the grill. Her father stood in khakis, nursing a drink. Jason was already there, laughing with a group of men near the patio. Linda spotted me from across the yard and smiled. Not a warm smile, not even a fake one. A warning. She walked toward me slowly, swaying in a blood-red dress like the devil had given her fashion advice. You showed up, she said, brushing invisible lint off my sleeve. Why wouldn't I? Because you're spineless, Daniel. Or at least, that's what I used to think. And now, she leaned closer. Now I think you're dangerous. Just like her. I learned from the best, I said, nodding toward her. She tensed. You brought Mia, didn't you? She's family, I said, turning just in time to see Mia step out of her Uber. Soft blue dress, belly barely starting to show, confidence dripping from her like perfume. Linda's face blanched. She didn't. She did, I said, and right behind Mia, like fate, had a twisted sense of humor, walked in Jason. Late, sweating, holding a six-pack like he thought anyone still wanted him around. We were all here now. The four of us. The liars. The betrayed. The weapons. The war. It started with a toast. Linda's father raised a glass. To family. And the irony almost choked me. Jason lifted his bottle. Family, huh? He looked at Mia, then at me, then at Linda. There was something in his eyes. Wild, cornered, dangerous. I'd like to make a toast, too, he said, stepping forward. Linda's smile twitched. Mia stiffened beside me. To honesty, Jason said. To the things we all pretend we don't know. Linda grabbed his arm. Don't, she whispered. But he yanked away. You think I'm the only one who's been keeping secrets? He said, his voice rising. You think I'm the bad guy? Ask your perfect husband what he's been doing behind your back. Whispers spread like fire through dry grass. Eyes turned. You want to tell them, Daniel? Jason sneered. Or should I? I stepped forward. You mean the affair with your wife? The one you thought I didn't know about? Gasps. Jason's jaw twitched. That's a lie. Is it? I said, pulling out my phone. Because I got the footage of you two at the Hilton off I-95. Linda's parents both paled. Jason looked at Mia. He's using you. You think this is love? You're just a pawn. Mia stepped forward, her voice calm but loud. I'm pregnant. Silence crashed down like thunder. I'm carrying his child, she said, placing a hand on her stomach. This isn't a game. And if any of you still think I'm just a little sister watching from the sidelines, think again. Linda's voice cut through the silence. You bitch. She stepped toward Mia, fists clenched. You've always wanted what I had. First my clothes, then my friends, now my husband. He was never yours, Mia snapped. You cheated on him. You used him. You mocked him behind his back. Linda turned to me. And you? How could you do this to me? I didn't do this to you, I said coldly. You did this to yourself. You wanted control. You wanted dominance. Well, congratulations. You created your own execution. Jason laughed bitterly. Look at you two, the happy couple. So proud. So righteous. You think this ends here? You think a baby's going to make this clean? He pulled out his phone. I still have everything. The motel photos. The messages. The recordings. Mia smirked. So do we? She reached into her purse and pulled out a flash drive. Jason froze. What is that? The other side of the story, she said. Tax fraud. Political laundering. Threats. Harassment. Enough to destroy you and everyone who helped cover it up. I stepped beside her. You want war? We brought the nukes. Jason's hands trembled. Linda looked like she might faint. And her father, oh, proud, arrogant, stepped between us. That's enough, he said. You're all disgracing this family. I turned to him. No, I said, you disgraced at the moment you covered for your daughter's affairs because appearances mattered more than truth. He slapped me. Hard. Gas again. Mia stepped in front of me, shielding me with her small frame. You touch him again, she said to her father, and I swear to God, I'll leak everything. The man stared at her, saw something in her eyes, stepped back. Smart man. We left together. Me and Mia. Linda crying into her mother's arms. Jason storming off, screaming into his phone. No one followed us. No one dared. As we drove away, Mia rested her head on my shoulder. Did we win? She whispered. I didn't answer right away. Because this wasn't a victory. This was survival. This is just the beginning, I said. She nodded. I know. When you burn your life to ground, you don't walk away with clean hands. You walk away scarred. Changed. Not a victim. Not even a victor. Just a man who learned the hard way what love, betrayal, and power really cost. The barbecue confrontation didn't make the news, but it might as well have. Within 24 hours, Linda's family's political foundation was under audit. Jason was fired from his firm after videos of him threatening me surfaced online. Leaked anonymously, of course. Linda filed for divorce again. But this time, she didn't try to take the house. She didn't want anything from me. Not the money. Not the memories. Not even Max. I signed the papers in silence. Sent them back. Closed that door. For good. Mia and I moved into a new house 2 counties away. It wasn't big, it wasn't flashy, but it was ours. She picked out every curtain, every paint color, every mug in the kitchen. I let her. She deserved it. Because even if everything between us had started from fire, pain, and chaos, what grew afterward was real, wasn't it? She was 6 months pregnant when we painted the nursery. A soft green. Neutral. She said it made her feel calm. One night, I found her in the rocking chair, staring at the window, hand on her belly. You okay? I asked. She didn't answer for a while. Then, do you ever feel like we're still being watched? I sat beside her. I don't think people forget this kind of story, I said. They just go quiet when it gets uncomfortable. She turned to me. And you? You haven't changed your mind. I kissed her forehead. I made my choice, Mia. She nodded, whispered. So did I. The baby came in the middle of the night. A boy, jet black hair, screamed like a banshee. I cut the cord myself, held him, shook with something I couldn't name. Love, fear, redemption, all of it. We named him Gabriel, because after everything we'd done, we needed at least one thing in our lives that still sounded holy. Lyndon never called, never showed up. Jason sent one last email, filled with threats, lies, desperation. I forwarded it to his ex-wife's attorney. Never heard from him again. And Mia? She settled into motherhood like she was meant for it. But sometimes I caught her staring too long at the past. Not with regret, with calculation. It happened 2 years later. A knock at the door. Middle of the afternoon. I opened it, expecting a package. Instead, Linda. Sunglasses. Thin. Nervous. I hadn't seen her since the day she screamed at Mia across her parents' backyard. She didn't ask to come in, just handed me an envelope. "Read it alone," she said. "Then decide if you still think you chose right." She turned and walked away. I closed the door, opened the envelope. Inside, photos of Mia, years ago, with Jason, naked, intimate, dated 2 months before our affair started. My hand shook. On the back of the last photo, a note in Linda's handwriting. "She didn't fall into your arms, Daniel. She pushed you into the fire. This was always her plan." I waited until Gabriel was asleep before I confronted her. She was folding laundry, calm, smiling. I held out the photos. Her eyes scanned them. She didn't flinch, just exhaled. "I was wondering when you'd find out." "You lied." "No," she said. "I just didn't tell you everything. You were sleeping with him while plotting to destroy both of us." "I used him, Daniel," she said, "the same way he used Linda, the same way Linda used you. And me?" She walked up to me, took my hand, placed it on her chest. I chose. You were never the mark. You were the goal." My heart pounded. I didn't know if I should hate her or fall harder. "Tell me one thing." I whispered. She leaned in. "Was any of it real?" She looked me dead in the eye. "The baby, the nights, the tears. Yes, that was real. And the rest?" She stepped back. "The rest was necessary. We never spoke of it again. Because some truths you bury deep, so deep they become part of your bones." Gabriel turns 5 this year. He looks like her. Thank God. We take him to the park every Sunday. Neighbors smile. Think we're the perfect little family. And maybe we are, just not in the way they think. Because love isn't always soft. Sometimes it's war. Sometimes it's choosing the person who burned everything down with you and rebuilding anyway. They call it revenge. I call it fate. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts below. Would you choose love or loyalty? And don't forget to subscribe for more true secrets every day.